Hi, welcome to class number 3, part 2. I accidentally clicked stop in the previous video lecture before my last three slides. I meant to click pause. There were one of my kids that were knocking at the door and I clicked the stop instead of the pause. So that's what you didn't even hear me saying bye or anything. I mean, I didn't mean to, but I didn't want to start all over. Okay, we were talking about the implicit intent, so this video lecture is probably going to be too short. Um, and for this example, I think I was discussing this example in the previous slide. I mean, uh, I, I, I got the idea. So here is what it says about this implicit intent. So look at the way that we're defining. So I is my intent. And in this case, what I'm saying, instead of making a reference, you see, to a Java class, I'm saying that what I want is an action, which is a view. And then I'm also giving the date I want to view this URL. And then, so the Android system will search for an activity that matches that. And the last bullet, I think I was discussing that too. If there is just one single match, if a single match is found, then that activity will be launched. But what about if there are more than one? Then the user will be prompted. We will ask, I mean, the system will ask you which one of those do you want? Like in the case that of email, and then it says, okay, which one of these email do you want, or whatever, it depends. So that's something that we can have with implicit intents. So that's the difference. So just summarizing, so intents, we need to define an intent before we start an activity. And especially we got an application with multiple activities, we will have um, to create intents, right? So we got two types, two categories, explicit and implicit. And then there is something else about filters. So for the filters will be the way in which, or the mechanism in which an activity advertise to other applications about the, the actions that we can execute with a given activity. Remember when we're searching, and then, for example, I don't know, I want to open a web page, or I want to do this, and it searches within the device, right? Whatever you had downloaded as your apps on your device is going to search. I mean, when we have an implicit intent, so it looks for those. So how is that they found? I mean, it's because they are advertised on the filters, and there will be some actions that you need to have some permissions. For example, when you want to open a web page. Um, then your app needs to have permission to use the internet. So when you, for example, download an app, sometimes it asks you, you need this and this permission. So for the same, when you are creating the app, I mean, you need to have the permissions. And then, I mean, that app, that application that is going to open the web page, I mean, that activity will have that permission, and then the same the other activity, right? That should make sense. So let's see if we can understand this uh, manifest file. So again, this manifest file here, in this case, I think we just have one activity, right? So here is my application from here to here, and then my application has as a component just one activity, and then this activity has an intel filter in which we says that this will have the action view uh, to the pages, and then looking here before the application, it says that here we have permissions to use the internet. So all of that needs to be listed on the manifest. If we were concerned on creating an Android app that has multiple activities, I mean, every time that we create activity, it has to be included there. I mean, because even if we have the Java code and we do start activity and it's not listed here, then we will have some problems. Okay, so for what we need, I think we're ready. We will create that's the next lecture. We will create now an Android app that will open a specific web page in which we're going to have our web app. So we need that for testing. So we're going to be testing. So after that, we're just going to be developing in HTML5 and using JavaScript, jQuery, jQuery UI, and we need to be sure that whatever we do, that is going to be able to work on an app. So again, the is not the goal of the class to develop just native Android apps. I mean, we will also, I mean, there wasn't. I mean, I thought that there are other classes that they do that. I mean, we just go and teach Android, and this is how we program. That will be another course. So here is okay. We need this app in Android. App is that web page for testing because we want to test that on how that looks on a device. So what we're just going to implementing is a small example of interactive apps using the technologies that I mentioned. Okay, so now thank you. Now I'm going to be sure that I click stop.